Have you ever noticed that some people seem to achieve and accomplish everything, and they're able to move from one goal to the next seamlessly without ever taking a break? Well, this is the world of an Enneagram 3. So if you've ever been typed as an Enneagram 3, or if you've ever been told you're an Enneagram 3, or if you know someone that is an Enneagram 3, this video is for you. Because today we're going to be diving into what motivates an Enneagram 3, and then what is a biblical approach or biblical message for the Enneagram 3. I'm Enneagram Ephraim, and I'm going to be your Enneagram coach. And so let's first describe what an Enneagram 3 looks like, or how they get described as. And they get described as efficient. These people can accomplish goals with max productivity and efficiency. They're also very accomplished people. So don't be surprised that they have no problem showing you their trophies on the wall, or their accomplishments, or their ribbons, or their new car, or whatever they perceive to be something accomplished, because that's what they're going to talk about. These people are also extremely motivating. And not just that, but they want to motivate others to achieve their goals. So don't be surprised if they're talking to people like, oh, you got to do this next and this next. And oh, it's going to be so good when you reach here, because that is how they want. They want others, not just themselves, but they do want others to meet their goals as well. These people are very driven. So once they accomplish one goal, they're already moving on to the next. There's no time for rest. And so it's one goal to the next, and they're even thinking about the 3 to 5 other goals they want to achieve. These people are very image conscious. And so the mistake is, what we can do is look at someone and go, oh, they care about their looks, so they must be a 3. That's not always the case for an Enneagram 3. Yes, sometimes it is. They're worried about their outward appearance, but more importantly, they care about how you perceive them. And they want to be perceived as someone admirable, someone that is distinguished, achievable, and so they are more worried about internally what you think about them. And so let's talk about the 4 core motivations. And so if you haven't been here before, there's 4 very distinct motivations. There's the core fear, the emotional thing that the Enneagram 3 is going to be running away from and staying as far away as possible. And then there's a thing that they desire, the thing they want to hear and experience, and they're always running after that and chasing it. And then there's something called a weakness. This is the thing that they use to obtain what they think or feel desired, and they will keep using it in hopes they desire it. But a lot of times, because of this weakness, it gets overused, and they end up only getting a false version of what they want. But since they think that that's what they want, they keep using it. And then finally, there's the longing of their hearts. That's the thing that they truly want to hear and experience. So let's talk about the core fear first. The core fear is being exposed as, or thought as, incompetent, inefficient, or worthless, failing to be or appear successful. And then their core desire is having high status and respect, being admired, successful, and valuable. So when I talk about being admired, that's a huge thing they desired. And when I say admired, I mean they want to be buttered up like a Thanksgiving turkey and set on display for all eyes to see. And that's really what they want. They want people to be, wow, look at everything you have accomplished. And that's how they want to be admired. These people are very driven to the point of competitiveness. And they actually see that as something good, not as something bad. These people are very efficient, and they care about what is the end goal. And so here's some differences from other numbers. Like an Enneagram 1 really cares about what is the right thing to do. We need to follow these procedures and policies. And yes, an Enneagram 3 would respond, yes, those are important. But this time, this one policy, this one rule will actually hold us back from achieving our end goal much quicker. And so they can come off as sometimes cutting corners, but not as someone who is lazy, but as someone who's just trying to reach their goal faster. And so don't be surprised when you get around an Enneagram 3, they think in terms of checklist. And it might be in their head, but don't be surprised if they put it on a board or in their phone. These are the things I have to get done today. These are the things I need to get done this week, this month, and they will be checking them off. And even if they run a meeting, they'll even put it on the board. This is what we got to get done, you guys. These are the things we need to do, because that's how their brain works, as in checklists. And threes value winners and sometimes can ignore or ridicule losers. And that's going back to their core fear, because they admire people who are successful and want to be that too. And at the same time, they may ignore or ridicule people that are perceived as losers, because that's coming after their core fear. I need to stay away from that. And so I got to either ignore them or talk bad about them because I don't want to be them. And don't be surprised if threes bring out their resume of accomplishments when talking about them, because that is sometimes the fall down of a three is those accomplishments will become their identity. And sometimes they lose their identity in Christ, and those accomplishments, those trophies, those awards, whatever that is, can become their identity. It's what they hold most dear. And so that's one thing they need to be careful of, is that those achievements shouldn't become their identity, but too many times that is the downfall of a three. And so they will, who and what you know isn't always important, but how you're known is more important. So again, they care deeply about what others perceive them and think about them, because that is what they want. They want to be admired by others so desperately. And again, sometimes they forget about, what does God think of me? And they'll start becoming, well, what does people think about me? And they'll try to kind of transform into a different person for a person or a group, instead of what God says who they are. These people, though, are very positive and self-confident people. They know what they want. They go after it. But one area they try to ignore is sadness. And too many times I remind my Enneagram 3s, that's the thing that's going to hold them back from what they're really trying to achieve, because they think sadness is a bad thing and it's going to hold me back. But if they don't actually address sadness, that's going to be the thing that prevents them in the long haul, because sadness will always catch up to them, usually in unproductive ways. Now, these are the people that are going to bring the work home. They are always working, and the best analogy I have, they work so much, even on vacations. So think about a dad that's wearing a bathing suit. He's in the pool, but also he has the kind of the noodle around him, and he has a laptop and a phone, and he's working. And because threes have a hard time stop working. They can't take breaks even on vacation. Now, the weakness they use is called deceit. So deceiving yourself into believing you are the image you portray to others, embellishing the truth by putting on a polished persona for everyone, including themselves, to see and admire. This is where threes can come off as a chameleon type. They shapeshift into what others believe they should be. So if they go into a new work environment or a new friend group, they can quickly perceive what is expected of the group or workplace, and they become that person. And they're going to become the best version of that person. And so threes put on different masks. Yes, everyone can do that, but threes, I'm never surprised. They have so many different masks because they have different groups, they have different work environments, and so don't be surprised. They have all these different groups of people, and they have different versions of themselves that they become for those groups. And so one of the most dangerous things for a three, if they're honest, is to kind of have a birthday party and all their different friend groups show up, because now they have to, I got to put my mask and put it over here. I got to go to these friends and put on a different mask, and it can become very exhausting trying to appease everyone by having these different versions of yourself. And lastly, I always say threes have a charm about them. They can turn it on and turn it off, and they can read people very well. I always say they make great salesmen, because they can take a frozen popsicle, put it on a hot dog bun, put ketchup and mustard on it, and get you to buy it and believe it's a hot dog, because they're so good at reading people. Now, the core longing of a three, it says, you are loved and valued for simply being you. However, they only truly feel like they are loved for their last achievement. And so they're off to the races to the next ones in hopes of feeling loved. And that's their motivation. If I'm constantly doing and being admired, people will love me. They exchange achievements and success for love. And they mistake those things for love. And so the verse I have for the threes is 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. And it says, but whenever someone turns to the Lord, the veil is taken away. And so the first thing the threes really have to do, they have to stop putting on these different masks, especially before God, and they have to lay them down at the feet of Jesus, and they have to allow God to show you love. And when they do that, the beautiful thing, that verse 17, it says, for the Lord is the Spirit, and whenever the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. And so when threes finally put their mask down at the feet of Jesus, they're going to experience freedom like never before. But that's not all they're supposed to do, because verse 18 says, so all of us who have had the veil removed can see and reflect the glory of the Lord. And the Lord, who is Spirit, makes us more and more like Him as we are changed into His glorious image. So for the threes, you're not only supposed to put these images of yourself down, but you're supposed to learn and reflect the glorious image of God. And the mistake is that threes have is they have these so many worldly image to appease all these people to be admired. You can't actually show who God is when you're doing that. And so you have to put those down. You have to learn to put on Christ. And when you do that and you reflect the glorious image of who God is, the problem is you're going to have to fight against your fear, because you want to be admired and seen successful, but sometimes the world doesn't always, and most of the time it actually rejects the image of God. And so you're going to have to redefine what success looks like as a disciple of Jesus. And when you can do that, you can realize that there's a lot more love in that than when you were trying to achieve and try to experience love from the world. So let me remind my type threes that when you're in Christ, you are already loved for simply being you. Without anything you haven't achieved, you can't achieve anything more to get God to love you more, but you cannot fail more to get less of God. And so once you realize that I can lay these images of myself, these false versions of myself down, I can finally experience the love that you've been actually desiring. And so I would love to hear from my type threes. What achievements have actually positively impacted your life, but also what of those achievements actually created challenges or even cost you? And so before you go and click off, I would love it if you would go to the description. I have a free guide for you if you want to learn more, and you can continue your journey through there. And until next time, you guys have a great day and week. All right, bye.